Woke up this morning full of dread, foreboding, despair. Doing a video about AIDS awareness. Fun, fun, fun. Wake up, Granda. There's a video on about AIDS awareness. Johnny, run out and tell your daddy there's a video on about AIDS awareness. Julie, come down. Do you see this? Who cares? It's important you know this. I haven't got AIDS. I haven't. But you see, they couldn't get any actors or any people with AIDS to come on and do this part that I'm doing now because they were frightened. They were scared. They didn't want the grief. They didn't want the hassle. Because surprise, surprise, there's a lot of prejudice around. Yeah, you're better off keeping it to yourself. Believe me.
When I was leaving AIDS West, people who were infected at that time were carrying the fear of their own death.
It's like living with diabetes or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or one of these long-term diseases.
What am I here for? What am I supposed to be doing? What is life about? And I think people who have a diagnosis of HIV ask those questions.
With medication now, you don't die with AIDS so much as you can live with AIDS. But now medication, you have to take the medication. A lot of medication. Be at work, taking medication. People think you're sick. They'll want to know what's wrong with you. Oh, you're taking medication. What's wrong with you? What? AIDS?
I think the limits of the medication need to be recognised, that some people just can't tolerate the regime. It is extraordinarily difficult to take tablets when you're well that give you significant side effects.
The treatments in those days were so toxic, and so many people were dying that it wasn't clear if people were dying from the HIV virus or the treatments.
The difference between herbs and the drugs is that the herbs aims to strengthen the tissue so that they can withstand infection in particular better.
Yeah, you want to get your information straight. Leave that old prejudice behind.
Herbal medicine or other alternative strategies can also help a great deal with the side effects from the drugs.
Safe sex is nothing new. Granda will tell you about that as well, won't you, Granda? Granda was over in Birmingham for years, you know. They used to have to get the condoms down in the barber shop, in a brown paper bag. Granda reckons it was like a sheep's bladder. You don't know how lucky you are now, you know.
We had to encourage people to practice safe sex through using condoms. While on the other hand, you had people saying, what you're doing is promoting sex, and therefore you're promoting the spread of HIV by even talking about condoms.
Sex is everywhere in the media. While it's still a very deeply personal issue and people don't often have the language to communicate about it. The workshops aren't just about providing information, but put the whole thing into a context. It's in relationships that people are having sex. And so self-esteem and awareness and assertiveness are all really important.
If we don't talk about sex and if people can't be a bit more open about their sexuality, then people will express their sexuality in ways that are hidden and secret. I think that's more dangerous.
I don't think people should be having sex unless they can raise any possible children, take care of any possible infections, talk to the person that they're with and have a good laugh with them, and take responsibility for their actions.
Being HIV positive, I sometimes feel very isolated, very different and separate from other people. In some ways, I feel like damaged goods. I feel I'm not whole, that I've no place.
And mind you, when you think about it, you know, it's not that gloomy, really. Because people who are living with AIDS, they're living. They have dreams and hopes. they get on with it as best they can.
The level of information that's around and the confusion of information that's around, particularly in days of the internet. A lot of information about conspiracy theories, pharmaceutical, commercialisation, an AIDS industry, which is living off people's misery. And I have a great deal of sympathy with that.
It'd be nice to be surrounded by people who support you. That would be good.
My HIV status was presented to me as a death sentence. I felt it was a wake-up call. The most difficult thing was having to tell my parents, my mother.
Your beloved child dying in front of you, fading away, sick. And you can't turn around and tell the woman beside you in the bus about it. Because your son's a leper.
My mother was wonderful, and she endeavoured to inform herself about the treatments and the HIV drugs. I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for her.
But people with AIDS, they have to face up to death. And that makes them clear-headed, you could say, a bit more sensitive. And on top of that sensitivity, they're met with prejudice. So they isolate, keep it to themselves. Sense of rejection, not wanting to tell anybody.
If you approach AIDS Help West, you are approaching a safe environment, a confidential environment, and an environment and a group of people who are concerned about you as an individual.
It's a pity there isn't more of that to go around, isn't there? Bit of care, bit of support to help you when you're sick. Oh, yeah. A lot of ignorance around it, you know. People scared.
People with HIV don't have that freedom in Irish society today to stand up and say, I am HIV positive and I need this, this or this. Because of that, AIDS Help West tries to work on their behalf.
Ah, well, I've done my bit. So long as you know that I haven't got AIDS, or that I'm not gay, I'm not bisexual, I'm not an intravenous drug user, and I'm occasionally heterosexual, and I didn't go to the hospital and get a blood transfusion.
It's not about a risk group, it's about how safe they are. A person's gay and uses condoms all the time is a lot safer than a straight man or woman having unprotected sex.
Here, Johnny, help your father put that black bag of prejudice outside. We'll have none of that in this house. Key to the door, a ship to the shore, a candle in the window, 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 a candle in